No, I don't care what other people think. I was brought in here to be myself, and I was brought in here to win.
There's nothing dainty about this man or his team. Tough talk is second nature in New York.
He'll be sacked. Fumbles the football. Loose. The Jets have it.
Brash. Loud.
Nobody come now. Nobody.
In your face.
Throws one deep over the middle towards the end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Jets.
You just gotta back it up.
Breaks a tackle. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown.
The hard knocks are hard to find on these streets.
Cut corner for home. Touchdown.
Rex Ryan and his Jets are first-class fare. Best record in the league. And they'll be happy to tell you where this ride is gonna end.
We expect to win.
We expect to be champions. We're telling you that we think we're better than your team.
1, 2, 3, go!
And happy Thanksgiving from the new Meadowlands Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, where NFL Network's Thursday Night Football presents the New York Jets and Cincinnati Bengals. On this Thursday evening, Thanksgiving night in New Jersey, temperatures at 40 degrees, forecast cloudy, rain earlier in the day. The Jets come in with a record of 8-2 on the season, and they're chasing the New England Patriots, who won this afternoon in Detroit to improve to 9-2. The Jets trying to keep pace. One of the key components for the Jets has been the play of Santonio Holmes. He spoke with Alex Flanagan moments ago.
What's the vibe like coming into this Thanksgiving night game, Santonio?
9-2. That's been our focus, 9-2. I know it doesn't say as much, but it speaks a lot around here to have our record go 9-2 this week.
You have been such a big factor at the end of the game, winning these close games. What's your mindset when you're in that position?
Oh, man, just to have fun. The more fun you have, the more you're able to play free. You don't have many worries. You just go out and do your job. This is what we get paid for. This is what we do, throughout the whole summer preparing for. And we bring it all out here to showcase it on Sundays and Thursdays.
To go 9-2, you have to beat this team. What's the biggest challenge?
Oh, not shooting ourselves in the foot. No turnovers. Don't give these guys any easy chances to get any points on the board, and get after them on offense and defense and special teams.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Santonio Holmes, a welcome addition to Rex Ryan's New York Jets squad. 17-9 as head coach of the New York Jets in his second season, guiding them to the AFC Championship game last year. Marvin Lewis in his 8th year, 58 wins, 63 losses. So many expectations for the Bengals this season, especially with the acquisition of Terrell Owens, but this football team has really struggled. They're injured. Marvin Lewis remains positive coming into tonight's ball game. Cincinnati won the coin toss. They elect to receive. Nick Folk has it teed up at the 30-yard line. And tonight's broadcast on NFL Network presented in beautiful HD where available. Chad Ochocinco's been pretty quiet this season. Terrell Owens has been the main focus. Will he get an opportunity tonight? Folk with the kickoff. Bernard Scott on the return. Scott does not get to the 20-yard line. Josh Mauga on the tackle for the New York Jets. So Carson Palmer leads the Cincinnati Bengals offense out onto the field, the first overall pick in the 2003 NFL Draft. 61% completion rate on the season. A lot of late game interceptions, and he said, we're just making mistakes at the worst possible time late in games. And they turn the page tonight and win one of those tight ones. From the Cincinnati 19, Cedric Benson, the tailback. get the first carry. No gain on the play. Calvin Pace on the tackle. We take a look at the Cincinnati offense in a team that has been beaten up by injuries. Dennis Rowland, the starting right tackle. As you move across the offensive line, Andrew Whitworth plays a key role as far as identifying personnel. Cedric Benson, 4 rushing touchdowns on the season. Ocho Cinco with 50 catches. Terrell Owens with 62. Talented rookie in Jermaine Gresham at tight end. Second and 10 from the Cincinnati 19. Palmer picks up 11 to the tight end Jermaine Gresham. His 43rd catch of the season for the first-round draft pick out of Oklahoma. Here's the Jet defense in a 3-4 front. The strength of this team, the play of the linebackers. Bart Scott makes the calls in the middle with the talented David Harris and Calvin Pace on the outside. Great corners. Darrelle Revis back and healthy. Antonio Cromartie, a key acquisition. And Eric Smith starts tonight for Brodney Poole. On a 1st and 10 from the 30. Benson, no running room. He's going to lose a half yard. Brian Thomas on the tackle.
One of the most noted things to look at tonight is Darrelle Revis has Terrell Owens all over the football field. That means that Cromartie will be on Ocho Cinco. And when you listen to the banner that happened through the course of the week, talking to Darrelle Revis yesterday, he just called himself an average guy trying to go up against T.O., which ought to make for a really, really great matchup tonight.
That's because T.O. said he's just an average player. He knows exactly what's going on.
Play clock at 1. Second and 10. Benson a yard, and that's it. Well, the war of words started earlier in the week in Cincinnati with Terrell Owens.
It's just average corner to me.
Tim, he wants to get into the media arguments and the Twitter arguments. Everybody know how T.O. is.
I'm looking forward to the challenge just like he's looking forward to the challenge.
Only thing I got to say is you can't run, you can't hide.
Last year in 2 meetings when Terrell Owens was in Buffalo, it went all Revis's way.
You know, not enough guys do that, to be honest with you. Back when Matt and I played, we'd yell at one another and nobody really thought about it. Now you say something, I go,
Matt's still yelling at you now.
I know.
3rd and 10 for Palmer. And it's a delay of game.
Timeout. Cincinnati.
Mike Carey, our referee, so they got the timeout before the back judge threw the flag.
Now here's the thing. The New York Jets, they do a lot of different things defensively, but the keys to this whole thing are the corners.
Well, 3rd and 10 coming up. Thursday Night Football, Thanksgiving night in New York.
Thursday Night Football is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by the U.S. Army. They're strong, then there's Army Strong. See strength like no other at goarmy.com.
Great look at Rockefeller Plaza. Christmas tree will be going up soon. 3rd and 10 for Cincinnati. Opening possession of the ball game with 12:04 to go in the first. Cincinnati used a timeout from the sideline before the delay of game.
And Bob, that's the reason why the Bengals are 2-8. You used up a timeout with 3 minutes into the game, and they're valuable. You have to protect them. You need to get in and out of the huddle.
The matchup down below with Revis and T.O.
Jets bring pressure. Palmer has to throw it. Ocho Cinco's got a first down, working on Cromartie. His 51st catch of the season, gain of 10.
And that's the other matchup that we have to talk about tonight. Antonio Cromartie is as good a corner as there is in this National Football League, but he plays it a different way, Joe. Not as physical and very long and can run with anybody. He likes to get up on a guy, doesn't always get his hands on him, but he shadows them. He's as good as there is in terms of shadowing. You would think with as long as his arms are that he'd like to use him to get up and jam guys, but he doesn't do it very often.
On a 1st and 10 for Palmer, looking right for the rookie tight end Gresham. Smith on the coverage.
That's one of those things that Carson Palmer has had to deal with the entire year. You've got Shipley at the slot. You've got Gresham outside. T.O. is new to him. You have all these different pieces in the passing game. And you'd think right now, well, this far into the season, the 11th game, shouldn't they be on the same page? It's not that simple. Gresham took too long to get out of the break. Carson anticipated it to be there quicker.
Well, Ocho Cinco doesn't come with the off-season stuff. T.O. came late, and then you have 2 draft picks. So they haven't had a ton of work together by normal standards. Benson hit by Smith. No gain on the play. Matt, the Jets have done a nice job here early. One of the things that they wanted to do was choke off the running game of Cincinnati.
Yeah, and what they do is they drop an extra guy down. You saw Eric Smith, 33, at the line of scrimmage. And so they give you that 8-man look, which is, it's a numbers advantage for them. They can do that because they have those corners outside. When you have 2 guys who can take things away, it allows you to be able to do whatever you want on the inside.
Jets sub in a lot of extra defensive backs. Jason Taylor is also in the ball game for the Jets. On a 3rd and 10 from the Cincinnati 40. Palmer throws it to the ground, intended for Shipley. Coverage by Drew Coleman.
Coverage by Coleman on the underneath side, but both the corners took their big receivers out of it completely.
All in all, when you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, they picked up 2 first downs, and that's a positive that they can look at. They converted a couple of 3rd downs.
Jets 130 straight games without a punt return. As Kevin Huber gets set to boot it. Kyle Wilson, the deep man. Wilson on the return in traffic, gets hit and tackled around the head, and a flag comes in at the 20-yard line. Roderick McElroy grabbed him around the helmet.
That won't be the penalty. I believe it's going to be against the Jets for an illegal block in the back, which on a kicking play, why not? Seems like every one there is an instance of one of those.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team number 31, half the distance to the goal. 1st down, timeout.
Antonio Cromartie called for the penalty on the block in the back. Jets with their first offensive possession coming up from New Jersey. Jets and Bengals, Thursday Night Football. Chad Ochocinco had 1 catch on the Bengals' first offensive possession. And there's always a lot of chatter. Marvin Lewis, the head coach to the left, wants more production with the Bengals at 2-8 this season. 1st and 10 for the Jets. Get a first look at their offense here tonight, led by quarterback Mark Sanchez. Damian Woody is in at right tackle. He was questionable. Worked out before the game and is starting. Sanchez has his pass batted down at the line and incomplete.
Oh, that was huge. That was an incredible play by the guys up front, because if Sanchez gets this off to Braylon Edwards, he is gone. The play action fake, you see it inside. He's running a post. The linebacker comes up, Malaluga, and you see Edwards going down the field. Nobody around him.
Domata Pecco is the one that knocked the ball away.
That one was going for something big.
2nd and 10 from the Jets 9. LaDainian Tomlinson off the left side picks up 2 balls loose, and it's recovered by Richardson, the veteran fullback in his 16th year out of Auburn. As we take a look at the starting offense for the New York Jets, I mentioned Damian Woody injured last week in the starting lineup. Nick Mangold, the 2-time Pro Bowler, the center for the New York Jets. DeBrickashaw Ferguson, a Pro Bowler last year. LaDainian Tomlinson, 5 rushing touchdowns this season. Holmes, the big plays late. Edwards, and the multi-talented Dustin Keller, tight end. 3rd and 8 for the Jets from their own 11. Honey Jones, the middle linebacker, calling out signals for Cincinnati. Sanchez with time. Keller in space. 1st down, out near the 29-yard line.
We talked about Santonio Holmes and the quickness and big plays that he's brought to this offense. But the guy who makes the chains move and has really having a big year is Dustin Keller, 81, the tight end. He runs well. He runs good routes. He's one of those guys who creates matchup problems for you defensively. And he's one of the reasons that this offense has improved this year.
And offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer said he creates some good matchups for us in this game against their linebackers. Tomlinson on a 1st and 10, bursts to the outside, and he's tackled at the 33 after a gain of 4. Take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals defense, and they have had so many injuries, with Fanene, Johnson, and Rucker placed on injured reserve. Johnson gets the start at one end. Ray Malaluga playing the outside. Dahani Jones in the middle. Keith Rivers and the secondary. Jonathan Wade was signed on Monday. Leon Hall, the regular starter, and Dukwe starts for Williams. Nelson for the injured Crocker. Second and 5, Sanchez. Braylon Edwards got it for a first down. Tackled by Wade. It's a gain of 12.
Excuse me, Bob. This is one of the things that has really impressed me about Mark Sanchez. This ball is in the air before Braylon Edwards comes out of his break. As soon as he makes the turn, the ball is right there. Great anticipation.
You know, that's Jonathan Wade, who you mentioned they signed on Monday. Now, if I'm the Jets, I'm going after him often. You don't know what kind of shape he's in. You don't know how well he tackles. And there's a big deal about just understanding the defense.
Acquired off waivers from Detroit. Appeared in 8 games with the Lions. Sanchez, nice play fake. Checks down to Tomlinson. And he did not get his feet down, incomplete.
That doesn't seem like a lot. It's an incomplete pass, but what Mark Sanchez wanted to do was go down the field. You saw him turn all the way over to the right side, knowing exactly where LaDainian Tomlinson was, and get the ball out of his hand. When you have total control and vision of where everybody is on the field, you get it out of your hands, and it helps the offensive line. You don't create sacks, and you don't create bad plays.
Well, Joe, he has lots of time. That's why he can look across the field and take his time back there. This offensive line is giving him good protection.
Brad Smith in at quarterback in the Jets' Seminole offense. He's going to run it for a yard, and that's it. Domata Peko on the tackle. Brad Smith, Mr. Versatility, special teams ace. He can throw it. He runs it. Good job with the receiving. Brian Schottenheimer just loves the versatility, as you get a look at the Jets' offensive coordinator, what Smith brings.
This Seminole has gone the way of the Wildcat in Miami. Defenses have seen enough of Brad Smith now in that situation that you're not going to see the big play out of it. Just enough as a changeup for defenses to look at.
So 3rd and 9 from midfield. Holmes, nice open field tackle made in space by Jonathan Wade.
That's a big time play, because there's a blocker out there for Wade, and Wade beats the block. He beats the block. He's coming inside out. That's Brad Smith who's trying to get him, but he recognizes it so fast and then makes a sure tackle.
Not bad for a guy that showed up on Monday.
Really good. That's a great play.
113 straight games. You saw the graphic. As Quan Cosby is back deep. And he has nowhere to go. Drew Coleman makes the tackle after a 44-yard punt. Second offensive possession coming up for Carson Palmer and the Bengals. Scoreless here in the first. So glad you can spend your Thanksgiving evening with us here at NFL Network as the New York Jets and Rex Ryan and the Cincinnati Bengals' third meeting between these two teams in the last 11 months. Rex always loose. Jets have won those 2. Trying to make it the hat trick in less than a calendar year. Second possession for the Bengals from their own 8. Palmer can't find Kelly, the tight end, as he got pressure from Vernon Golston.
Just because you didn't gain any yards running the football in the first series doesn't mean you should abandon it. Carson comes out, feels the pressure inside, dumps it off, and Reggie Kelly can't make the play. But still, you can't abandon the run.
One of the things you have to do when you play this Jet defense is you have to identify the personnel that's on the field. Right now, Andrew Whitworth is going to the other side in an unbalanced look for the Cincinnati team.
So they put two tackles to one side. Benson gets a crease and a nice run out to the 16-yard line. Gain of 8 on the play.
You see what they did? They took Whitworth and they put him on the other side, and then they ran to the short side. And so they put their receivers here, and they're just trying to get a man on a man, just get a body on a body. Here see Livings pulling from the inside out. And so they kind of try to okey-dokey, make it look heavy to one side, but come back to the short side.
Manageable 3rd and 3 for the Bengals. Jason Taylor, the former Dolphin, in for the Jets. Palmer can't find Ocho Cinco. He had a step.
You have two good corners. That doesn't mean that the receivers are going to be covered all over the field. When there are two good corners like this, to me, Joe, this puts things right back in the lap of the quarterback. It means they're going to be open, but the windows are really small.
Jim Leonard back to receive the punt from Kevin Huber. His last punt was 39 yards. Gets it off the side of his foot. Takes a favorable roll for the Bengals. Leonard will pick it up and take it out to midfield. 40-yard punt, 5-yard return, flag on the play as well. So we'll hold it right here. And check with veteran referee Mike Carey.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 82. 10-yard penalty, they keep the ball. First down, timeout.
Well, the Jets pride themselves on special teams. Rare 2 special teams penalties in the first quarter of play. Jets, Bengals, Broadway.
Thursday Night Football is brought to you by Verizon 4G LTE. Rule the air on the most advanced 4G network in the world. And by Mercedes-Benz. Engineering without compromise. Performance without sacrifice.
Well, Radio City Music Hall has been the host of the NFL Draft since 2006. Getting ready for the Christmas Spectacular. Mark Sanchez, he's been spectacular in the last 3 games for the New York Jets. Engineering great come-from-behind victories. And finding a way to play smart on first and second down. He said that's been the key for him. Not forcing things and making mistakes early in downs. Sean Green in a tailback. Slips through a hole and picks up 7 on the play. Well, Mark Sanchez over the last 3 games has been outstanding. 336 yards in that big win at Detroit, which they had to come from behind down 20-3. Gets the overtime win in Cincinnati with 299 yards passing. And then the Texans and the late touchdown pass to Santonio Holmes to win it last week here in this building. They put more on his plate, and the second-year quarterback has answered the bell. Green on the 2nd and 3 has the first down near midfield. Give him 4 on the play.
One of the things you notice about the Jets is their offensive line. They've been together now for quite a while. Matt Slauson, their left guard, took over for Alan Faneca. The only major change over the last couple of years. And they just really get off the ball well. Part of being able to throw the ball effectively and run the ball effectively is the communication of those 5 guys up front.
Jets with a 1st and 10 from midfield. Sanchez with a check down to Sean Green. Picks up 11 after a heavy collision.
A smart play by the offense of the New York Jets, and in how Brian Schottenheimer orchestrates it. They go in motion, and they put Mulligan in motion. Nobody moves, so you know right now you're going to be sitting in the zone. And then they just run everybody off, dump Sean Green underneath, and just go pick up what you have to pick up. And boy, he put a shot on Ray Maluga, didn't he?
That's pure helmet to helmet.
Nice stuff.
The Danian Tomlinson back in at tailback. Finds the edge, picks up a couple to the 36-yard line. And there's a flag on the play. We want to welcome those of you joining us from the hyperlink NFL.com. NFL.com, live online experience. We welcome you to Thursday Night Football.
Illegal block in the back. Offense number 17. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Braylon Edwards called for the penalty.
And that's the second week in a row he's gotten that penalty.
He's trying.
Yeah, he's aggressive. He tries to be aggressive. Because if you're going to play receiver, you have to be able to block. You just don't want to be blocking in the back.
But if you can see the guy's hair, I used to say if you could see his name.
Numbers.
Now if you can see his hair, you can't block. Okay, that's something I'm learning in this new age.
Just pull it.
Just, you know.
Oh, no, they flag that too.
They
the
do.
other day.
That's right.
Not supposed to, though. Edwards in motion. Sanchez under pressure, and he's going to get sacked. Carlos Dunlop, the rookie out of Florida, gets his second sack of the season.
We talk about the young man maturing, growing up, learning the things he needs to do, but every now and then you see the athlete try and jump up and make plays. Mark Sanchez doesn't have it down the field now. He's not working to throw it away, he's working to make a play. I don't have any problem with this.
Well, Michael Johnson does a great job of making the play. He forces him to have to get out of the pocket. Sanchez tries to keep it alive, and then is eventually sacked by Dunlop.
Sanchez is out of the game as Brad Smith comes in at the quarterback. Smith trying to find the edge, gets stood up at about the 49-yard line, maybe midfield. Domata Pekka on the tackle after a gain of 2. Ray Malaluga also pursuit to the ball.
Now there's a player right there. You just mentioned Ray Malaluga. Yeah, now you people out there watching, you watch Ray Malaluga, because this player right here, right down below, this is a guy who he's a stud. And he's out of position right now. I believe his natural position is middle linebacker, but he's very physical. He runs well, not very good in space. When he moves to the inside of the middle, he will be an outstanding player.
And you could feel the built-up frustration of Malaluga when we talked to him yesterday. Sanchez to Keller to the 44-yard line, well short of the first down. Dhani Jones on the tackle. It's a gain of 7, and the Jets will have to punt with under a minute to go here in the first.
In talking to Rex Ryan yesterday, Matt said, hey, what do you need to do to win? He says, we need to play Jets football. It's that simple. That's Jets football. Third and real long, pick up enough yards so that you can back up your opponent and put your defense back on the field.
Rutherford the punt. Uses that reverse spin. Quan Crosby from the 10. And he just gets hammered by Joe McKnight, the rookie running back out of USC. Can't get in the lineup but play specials. Late in quarter number 1, Carson Palmer, Mark Sanchez, no score. This Thanksgiving, join the NFL in its commitment to making the next generation of youth and families the most active and healthy. Join the movement and pledge to Play 60 at NFLRush.com. Congratulations to all the players from around the National Football League throughout the course of the year who donate their time and are part of the Play 60 program. Great initiative by the National Football League. Third offensive possession for the Bengals. All of them have started inside their own 20. This time from the 10 starts Carson Palmer. Has some time. Ocho Cinco, his second catch, picks up 12 and a first down. Two catches for 22 yards for Chad Ocho Cinco, and that'll be the final play of quarter number 1. From the new Meadowlands Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Ocho Cinco, he has 2 catches in quarter number 1. Jets and Bengals scoreless. Second quarter coming up next. Tonight's aerial coverage is presented by Southwest Airlines. You look at the gorgeous $1.6 billion new Meadowlands Stadium built by both the Jets and Giants as their new home. Cincinnati Bengals and New York Jets getting set for the start of quarter number 2. Well, the Bengals are happy that Giant Stadium got knocked down and is now a parking lot. They are 0-11 at that stadium. 0-8 against the Jets, 0-3 against the Giants. Start the second, 1st and 10 from the Cincinnati 21. Palmer 3 of 7 for 33 yards. Cedric Benson with room, hit by Smith, but not until he gets to the 30-yard line, called the 31.
Bob, you asked me about Carson Palmer's comment when he said that we're a dangerous football team. I wouldn't want to play us right now. They know they have absolutely nothing to lose. They know that they can go out and let it go. To me, this looks a lot more like the Cincinnati Bengals of a year ago than it does the one that's been throwing the ball around all over the ballpark.
Benson 6 carries for 15 yards. Say stepped out at the 30. 2nd and 2. Palmer under pressure. Terrell Owens just plucks it out of the sky and has a first down to the 34. Bart Scott came on a blitz, and Palmer got it away.
What a play.
They brought pressure up inside. You see Bart Scott inside, and then because he's holding outside position, Darrelle Revis, the inside is there, and that's just what he takes. But a nice job by Carson Palmer throwing to a spot, and Owens getting there.
Owens' first catch of the night, 63rd of the season. Palmer under pressure, just throws it away. Brian Thomas was in the face of Palmer. Pass intended for Jermaine Gresham.
Man, I want to go back to that last play. If Darrelle Revis is on Chad Ochocinco with that same type of play to have to be made, he would not have gotten away. Chad's great with his feet, but he doesn't have a whole lot of physical strength up top to be able to muscle himself away like we saw T.O. do.
Benson in a one-back set on a 2nd and 10. Benson gets about a half yard. Sean Ellis on the tackle. Well, Darrelle Revis had one of the great seasons ever for a defensive back last year in 2 games against Chad Ochocinco. 2 receptions and a pick on 10 opportunities. And against Terrell Owens, while with Buffalo last year, 6 receptions and an interception.
So what sets Darrelle Revis apart from the others? To me, he has incredible balance and really strong hands. I mean, he'll get his hands on you, and you're not going anywhere.
Palmer airing it out on a 3rd and long. Easy pick for Jim Leonard.
That looked like a punt.
Palmer picked off for the 14th time. Just kind of aired it out on 3rd and long. Didn't have a lot on it. Leonard gets his first pick of the season, first turnover. Jets back on offense.
Thursday Night Football is brought to you by Sears. Be the Santa you want to be. Find your Santa at Sears.com/Santa. And by Under Armour. Visit UnderArmour.com to see the full line of the world's most technical performance apparel and footwear.
A look at Manhattan and the Brooklyn Bridge on this Thursday night. That snaps a Jet streak of 5 straight games without an interception as Jim Leonard gets the pick. His first of the season of Carson Palmer. In effect on that 3rd and long, it turns out to be a 42-yard punt.
I never looked at it that way, Bob.
Of course you did.
I don't look at it that way.
He threw it like a punt.
Tomlinson out to the 30-yard line, picks up 7 as we take you back to the interception.
Yeah, see right here, watch Jim Leonard. He's going to end up playing, he's going to be free to the middle. They're going man all over. Now he's reading with his eyes. Back to Carson Palmer, there's no pressure. He just tracks the ball. Palmer threw it straight up in the air. He had Shipley, had he been able to get it out, but Leonard just tracked it and came down with the pick.
2nd and 3 for the Jets. Tomlinson again fights his way for a first down out to the 34-yard line.
It was great visiting with LaDainian yesterday, talking about being here as a Jet. He's finally healthy, and that was one of the things that held him back in San Diego the last couple of years. I mean, you look at the first 5 games, 5.7, now the last 5, 3.3, but, you know, he's splitting time. They're picking their spots with him, and it's a perfect scenario for him to be able to be in this offense.
Said I picked the Jets because they have a great defense, and that always gives you a chance to win. Good young quarterback. Sanchez on a 1st and 10. Keller, first down. There is a flag on the play. Gain of 20. And the preliminary call is against Cincinnati.
They're going to tackle on 15 for a face mask.
Saw the side judge making the face mask.
Before the pass, major face mask, defense number 26 is declined. The play results first down.
So it was before the pass.
And watch Keller right down the middle, just in the zone, just gets on top in front of the safeties. That's nicely protected, and Sanchez hits him right where he needs to.
Penalty was on Jonathan Wade, and now they tack on the 15 yards.
I didn't think you could decline a 15-yard personal foul.
Personal foul is a personal foul. It gets tacked on regardless. A face mask is a face mask. From the Cincinnati 30, 1st and 10 Jets. Tomlinson with a crease off the right. Cut down at the 21 after a gain of 9.
And we spoke yesterday, you mentioned to LaDainian Tomlinson, and one of the things he was talking about was just how good he felt, not only in the offense but with the group and his role. And he knows he's not the same old LT. He knows that. But he also knows he still has enough left in the tank to be able to help the team.
2nd and 1. Tomlinson hit by Nelson, but it's a first down for the Jets to the 15-yard line. LT is putting together a Hall of Fame career. Most yards from scrimmage per game. 3rd best in NFL history behind Jim Brown and Barry Sanders. And LT is, he said he spent a lot of time in the offseason getting his legs strong again. And he says it paid a lot of dividends through camp, and it's carrying him well into the latter part of the season. Tomlinson again inside the 15 to the 13. Domata Peko on the tackle.
And also, this is his 3rd young quarterback that he's really had a chance to work with. Remember, Drew Brees was in San Diego, then Phillip Rivers took over, now he's with Mark Sanchez. And when you talk to Mark Sanchez, he talks about having him in the backfield and the value of that experience as a young quarterback to have somebody with LT's ability.
Says, I always know he's going to be in the right place if I have to check down. Tomlinson said it was a lot like his days in San Diego when they had Michael Turner there with Sean Green and the Jets. Sanchez to the end zone, can't find Edwards. Incomplete.
He got the look they wanted. Here comes the pressure. They're going to bring everybody off the edge. They're bringing everybody up inside. He gets one-on-one and Braylon Edwards. Now just hang it up to the big guy. Let him go jump up and get it.
Braylon Edwards trying to zero in on that pass that was a little bit short.
They're working against a secondary that has basically 3 out of 4 new pieces in it.
Third and 8 from the 13. Sanchez, Edwards can't get to the first down sticks.
Good defense by Cincinnati. So they go to his zone, and they keep him deep, and they get enough drop depth out of their linebackers to force him to throw it underneath. And once they do that, they converge, make the tackle, and set up the kick.
And Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator for Cincinnati, said we need to do some positive things early with the way they got blown out in the second half last week in their loss against Buffalo. Mission accomplished with 9:12 to go in the first half as Folks on for a 27-yard field goal. Weatherford to hold, and Nick Folk drills it through, so the Jets get on the board with 9:01 to go in the first. Mark Sanchez trying to lead the Jets to their 9th win, up 3-0 here in the second. This holiday season, stay in the game with the NFL's new mobile app. Search NFL Mobile on NFL.com. Jets with a 9-play, 69-yard drive. It used 4 minutes and 5 seconds. LaDainian Tomlinson had 29 yards rushing on 5 carries. Nick Folk, a 27-yard field goal. Jets with a 3-0 lead over the Bengals with 9:01 to go here in quarter number 2 on this Thanksgiving evening. I hope everybody's families had a healthy and happy Thanksgiving. Great way to wrap it up.
Robin was over at her mom's for Thanksgiving. Hi, honey.
Rain held off in the New York metropolitan area long enough this morning so everybody can get their touch football games in. Bernard Scott from the 15 has a lane. Scott tripped up from behind by Leonard after a 33-yard return. So for the first time tonight, the Bengals will not have to start inside of their own 20 because of Bernard Scott's 33-yard punt return. Bengals down 3.
Thursday Night Football is brought to you by GMC. Enter the Never Say Never sweepstakes for a chance to win a GMC Sierra Denali at gmc.com/NFL. And by Need for Speed Hot Pursuit in stores now.
For Storm, Shank, Afghanistan, and we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
And a happy Thanksgiving to the men and women defending democracy around the globe so that we can enjoy the freedoms and democracy here in the United States and enjoy our Thanksgivings with a little Thursday Night Football. Jets with a 3-0 lead. Best starting field position for the Bengals tonight by far, their own 47. Palmer, Owens in space, hit by Smith, who keeps it to a gain of 5.
One of the things the New York Jets do is they give you a lot of different personnel groups and a lot of different people in those groupings. And so it's important to have to identify who's on the field because that's how you're going to treat them, whether you treat them as a rusher or a linebacker or wherever it is. That job falls on the shoulders of Andrew Whitworth, the left tackle. And then he echoes it down the line so everybody's on the page. Identification is a major part in playing the Jets.
First time the Bengals are in Jets territory. 2nd and 5, Benson takes it to the 45-yard line, 2 yards short of the first down. Matt, you have a chalkboard for us.
Well, and this is what happens when you're identifying people because it's about numbers and you have to be able to get a hat on a hat. That means every person's assigned to somebody. But when you have a numbers advantage, you have to be aware of that and not run into it. The last one, they just got him off the edge. Here you're running right into a safety drop down. He's a free hitter.
Benson so far 8 carries, 19 yards. Most of the Bengals' third down attempts tonight, 3 of the 4 have been 9 or more yards. With play action, Brian Leonard has the first down for Cincinnati. Leonard, who played his college ball in the state of New Jersey at Rutgers, converts for Cincinnati.
Bob Rutkowski, the offensive coordinator, has done a real nice job of getting the ball in the hands of his playmakers. We saw Chad Ochocinco early, T.O. on this drive. Now you get one out to Leonard, and you're just moving the ball around. Make the Jets defend the entire field.
Picked up 3 and a first down. The rookie Shifley in motion comes set in the slot left. Benson again. Benson into the secondary as a helmet of Smith goes flying. But a gain of 14 for Benson.
You know, this offense right now, they believe that they can run the football against this Jet defense. They had success a year ago. In fact, Cedric Benson had himself a really nice game a year ago. And they said, talking to him last night, he felt like, yeah, they have some guys beat up on the offensive line, but they thought they were physical enough and that he would be able to get some yardage against this group.
Palmer, the Bengals with a 1st and 10 at the Jets 28. They'll feed Benson again. Got hit by Vernon Golston. And then David Harris made the tackle. Vernon Golston, who was the 6th overall pick in the 2008 draft, still looking for his first career sack. Tried him as a down lineman. And Rex Ryan has been very encouraging of Vernon Golston, saying, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. We're going to give him the best chance to make a play. Saw him get pressure on Palmer earlier. Second and 10 at the Jets 28. Palmer Palmer with time, looking for Terrell Owens, underthrew him, picked off by Cromartie. Out to the 21-yard line. There's a flag on the play as well. Second interception thrown by Palmer, and Cromartie gets his third pick.
That was a poor decision to throw the ball where he threw it.
It was terrible. It was just absolutely a terrible decision. You have nobody on the other side of the field holding Cromartie away from the middle. He just bails on back and winds up with the interception.
So we'll check the flag first. And Mike Carey.
During the interception return, illegal block on the back, number 5-2. Half the distance to the goal. First down, timeout.
Well, the penalty is on David Harris, but Marvin Lewis can only look on in disbelief. Triple coverage, easy pick for Cromartie. Jets turn Palmer over for a second time.
That was bad.
Antonio Cromartie with his third interception of the season. And with the Bengals threatening, the Jets turn Cincinnati away. Jets with a 3-0 lead, 5:18 to go, and the second. After the David Harris penalty on the return, the Jets will start from their own 3. Sean Green moves the pile out to the 8-yard line, back to the interception.
And this is what's going to be called quarters coverage. You divide the field in quarters. Now, once he clears, there's no one to threaten him. He just climbs, gets to the middle of the field, and that's just a very poor decision. He throws it to the middle. It's just bad. Bad all the way around.
Is that quarter coverages?
That was quarters.
Yeah, well, 75 cents had a shot at it back then.
That's not
I mean, any one of those 3 guys could have picked that one off before T.O. ever got to it.
Second and 4 for the Jets, as Palmer tried to force it to Owens. Green, hit by Zahani. Jones runs out of that tackle and has a first down to the 16, gain of 7.
One of the things they liked about Sean Green was his power, and they know he's kind of that's the kind of back that he's going to be, and that's what they want him to be. And he's going to run through tackles, and they're going to use him inside. Then they can also use LaDainian for all the other things.
Matt, remember you and I were on the field before the Jets' first preseason game last year at home, and we were watching him warm up just behind the end zone, and you said, wow, he's a lot bigger than I thought.
It's a thick man.
First and 10, Sanchez looking for Holmes. Leon Hall nearly had a pick.
Sometimes you're 8-2 because you're lucky. Right now, Mark Sanchez is lucky. They break on this ball, and that's a pick 6.
For Leon Hall.
Leon Hall would have had his 5th interception. That one just goes flying through. There's a misconnection.
The way it's been going for Cincinnati this year, I'm surprised it didn't go through his hands and right to Holmes for a touchdown. They've gotten the worst possible outcome of every bad situation, according to Marvin Lewis. Tomlinson picks up a yard, maybe 2. Ray Maluga on the tackle. For 29 years, Tom Landry was the only coach the Dallas Cowboys ever had. Tomorrow, join us for a special NFL Films produced documentary about the football legend Tom Landry, the NFL's man in the hat. That's tomorrow at 8 Eastern on NFL Network. It is a fabulous watch.
Okay, it was fabulous to be able to line up and play against his Dallas Cowboy football team. I hated that stadium, but you could see that man in that hat on the sidelines, and he cast a big shadow.
Jets 0 for 2 on third downs of 9 or more yards. This is a 3rd and 9. Sanchez with time, going for the home run. Edwards covered by Jonathan Wade.
That was really well done by Jonathan Wade, and it was smart. Now, he knew that he was going to have pressure inside, and he was going to be in man-to-man on the outside. So don't bite on any double move at all, and just run with him.
Nice job of officiating also. A little bit of hand checking on both sides. You don't throw the flag.
Weatherford, middle of the field. Cosby from the 37, nowhere to go. Great pursuit to the ball by Josh Maga again for the Jets. 47-yard punt, no return. Well, we continue to celebrate Thanksgiving and democracy. Another well wish from Afghanistan.
Lieutenant Marcus Millen,
230 Infantry Task Force Storm here at Fob Shank, Afghanistan. I'd like to wish everyone back home a happy Thanksgiving, especially my beautiful wife Courtney and the rest of my family. And Dad, don't make any mistakes tonight because we're all watching.
That's my goose.
Well,
that's great to see
how about
my
that,
son.
Matt?
Isn't that great?
Oh, that is awesome. You're going to make me cry. Don't do that.
What a great gift that was, huh?
Marcus doing a great job defending our nation's freedom in Afghanistan. Bengals will start from their own 37-yard line. Palmer under pressure. Gresham, the tight end, on a screen, turns to the outside. He's got a first down into Jet territory, and Smith finally tackles him on the play after a gain of 25. Well, sometimes you catch the ball, other times you got to block. Terrell Owens doing a good job blocking.
And that's a good man he's blocking out there. Anytime you're going to have a big play down the field, your receivers have to be able to block, and T.O. was able to get one right there on Rivas.
Wasn't exactly a pancake, but it did enough for a few extra yards.
It was a donut. A little tiny, one of those little donut holes.
So for the second possession in a row, Cincinnati down 3, 2:09 to go in the half. They're driving. Benson will lose 2 on the play. Back to the 40-yard line, and that takes us to the 2-minute warning. The Jets, well, they've been in a lot of tight games over the last 4 weeks. Another tight one right now with 2 minutes to go in the half. Jets in front of the Bengals, 3-0.
Welcome back to the New Meadowlands. Rich Eisen here asking you to stay tuned for the Sprint halftime show, the thriller in Dallas between the Cowboys and Saints, and the reason why the Jets have to win tonight. The Patriots move to 9-2 in Detroit. Bob?
Yeah, Rich, sluggish start for New England, but then they turned it on. The New England Patriots with their 9th win of the season. Jets trying to get to 9-2. They'll meet on a Monday night next week in Foxborough. Bengals with 2 timeouts. 2nd and 12 at the Jets 40. Palmer's been picked off twice. Ochocinco pushed out by Cromartie at the 32-yard line, gain of 7.
And with each completion and each run, this Cincinnati Bengal offense gets a little bit more confidence. You can see it starting to pick up. They're starting to get now. Those picks killed them, but they're coming right back.
They're still right there. I mean, they have a chance here to tie or maybe even take the lead, despite the 2 picks and the poor decision by Palmer to force one to Owens in the end zone. 3rd and 4. They went to Leonard last time. This time it's Ochocinco, first down to the Jets 21.
Chad Ochocinco gets the perfect matchup against Antonio Cromartie. Cromartie is not the guy that's going to put his hands on him. He's going to release him off the ball and then have to go chase him. You can't do that with Chad.
Now he's walked up on him nice and tight.
Going to the end zone for Shipley. Incomplete. Leonard and Coleman on the coverage.
That's the guy that Deion Sanders was talking about in the pregame. He really likes Jordan Shipley, and what he likes about him is his quickness, and he's a mature receiver. One of the guys that knows how to run routes. That one looked like somebody hit Palmer's hand as he released it.
There's some question as to whether Palmer would even play to that. When we talked to him yesterday, he just smiled and said, no question, flags fly, as Palmer was getting set to take the snap.
Encroachment, defense number 93, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Veteran Trevor Price, who was signed this season by the Jets. After Baltimore had let him go and they thought they'd bring him back, Jets swooped in and got him.
You know, Bob, it's not like Carson Palmer hasn't seen this type of defense before. Remember, Rex Ryan coached in Baltimore. He played a lot against Rex's defense. Nothing they do really surprises him. He just tries to be real definitive at the line of scrimmage before they can get shifting a whole lot.
Play clock down to 3. Palmer gets it off to Shipley for the first down, and now Cincinnati will use one of their 2 remaining timeouts with 1:18 to go. So the Cincinnati Bengals trying to get the tying score or the lead late in the half. 7th play of the drive coming up for Cincinnati. Trailing the Jets 3-0 with 1:21 to go in the half. Palmer 10 of 18 for 94 yards and 2 interceptions.
Still figure out a way to go to T.O. This is where his value is. He's big and he's strong down here.
Palmer had his receiver slip and the pass incomplete. Leonard slipped and nearly intercepted.
They show like they're going to be man, and then they drop into a zone.
Let's go.
And Leonard, he knows what he has to do. He wants to set himself down in the hole in the zone underneath, but his feet give out. They were lucky that one didn't get picked.
Bengals can get a first down without a touchdown. Second and 10. Palmer under pressure, buys time with his legs to the end zone, batted away by Smith from Owens.
You like that?
No,
you should just throw that thing
I
away.
don't. Just throw it away. There's nothing wrong with getting rid of the football and firing another one. There's too many Jets around there. It's too condensed. Well, T.O.'s coming back to the ball, but you also have Eric Smith coming back. You got Leonard sitting there.
Drew Coleman sitting underneath. It looks like he's robbing underneath.
And if Drew Coleman decides not to hit T.O., but just catch the ball, it could be an interception.
Well, now they called a personal foul penalty against the Jets. It was a late flag that came in.
Bart Scott can sit and talk all he wants.
And they're going to call it on Drew Coleman for hitting a defenseless receiver.
Ooh, he was, that one I missed. He was underneath, and he was free, and then he was reading. I want you to watch Drew Coleman.
Well, first
that's a shoulder to the chest. That's what they're emphasizing.
And the ball is right there.
And how do you call him defenseless?
I don't.
So first and goal with 1:09 to go in the half. Shovel pass to Leonard, hit by Pace, gain of only 1. 1 minute to go in the half. Bengals still have that 1 timeout remaining. Second and goal from the 5. Ocho Cinco, no, didn't get the feet in. Remember, there's no force out. You got to get your feet down. Cromartie on the coverage.
They're both complaining to the official. He pushed me. No, I didn't. He pushed me.
There, see his right foot hit in and then out. It's in and right.
Whoa.
Oh, that may be 6, boys. Look at that right there.
If it is, it's going to be
inside of 2 minutes. That should be stopped from upstairs.
And it is. It's going to be stopped. The replay official in the booth under 2 minutes. Bud Alexander is buzzed down and says to Mike Carey, you need to take a look. Watch the right foot, Matt.
There's the control. Right foot comes down. Watch the heel is what's important. That looks like it is.
It's right
there. That
there.
looks like it's in. Look at this guy right here.
The line judge was right there. He had the closest look. Touchdown under review. Was ruled incomplete. The ruling on the field incomplete. It's the right foot of Chad Ochocinco on the pass from Carson Palmer. Does it touch any of that white? He gets the left foot down and controls the ball throughout the process of the catch. Is that enough to overturn it and make it a touchdown? Can you see definitively that a part of his heel wasn't on the white?
I'm going to say it's incomplete because it's so hard to tell. Remember, you mentioned it, Bob. The ruling is incomplete.
See, from that angle, you see a little bit of green.
Look at the official is looking right at it.
That looks to me like it's 6.
Mike Carey will have the ruling.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
Now, if you'd have ruled that a touchdown, I probably would have agreed with it.
If it was ruled a touchdown on the field, I would have seen no reason to overturn it.
Right.
But because it was ruled incomplete, it's tough to see on the back part of his heel if it was on that white. Not enough to say definitively it was a touchdown clearly.
Now Marvin wants the play clock reset. There's 13 seconds on the play clock.
And it's not going to be reset. So Cincinnati has to get to the line off the incomplete path. It starts on the ref signal. And he starts the play clock. 3rd and goal. Bengals trying to take the lead. Palmer to the end zone. Touchdown, Jordan Shipley. And with 43 seconds to go in the half, the Bengals drive downfield 63 yards and get the touchdown.
That's the maturity in the slot that Deion Sanders was talking about with Jordan Shipley. He's beyond his years. He sees that they're trying to bracket him, so the smart thing to do, sit down right in the hole. And he sees it, and they're on the same page, quarterback and receiver, and because he sits, the ball's right there. That's 6.
The rookie out of Texas gets his 2nd touchdown catch of the year, 3rd-round pick. Aaron Petrie for the extra point, and he hooks it inside the left upright. 10 plays, 63 yards on the drive. They use 2:11 off the clock. And Rex Ryan and the Jets find themselves down 7-3 with 43 seconds to go in the half. Guys, you know, you look at this first half, and Cincinnati hurt defensively, has limited the Jets to 3. Cincinnati's put a couple of nice drives together. The last one, an errant throw, 2 drives ago, an errant throw by Carson Palmer as he threw it into triple coverage. Terrell Owens never had a chance. But then Cincinnati plays good defense once again, and they're able to drive the ball down the field and go 63 yards for a touchdown. So Carson Palmer told us last night, we're a dangerous team. They look at tonight.
They do in the first half, but now we have to think back to last week against the Buffalo Bills, where they gave up 35 points in the second half. It isn't what they've done in the first half of this game. They've played hard and played well. What's going to happen when they come out at halftime and maybe the Jets get a drive or they make a mistake? That's the thing you really have to concern yourself with.
And so what has to continue in the second half is the offensive line right now for the Cincinnati Bengals is blocking very, very well. And defensively, which they were worried about, particularly in the secondary, they've held up in their zones, and they've gone man a couple times and done well also.
Jets have all 3 timeouts. Petrie to kick off. Signed when Mike Nugent went on injured reserve. Short kick, Smith on the return. Smith can't find space, reverses his field. Containment to the outside, and Leon Hall cuts him down at the 31-yard line. 15-yard return. Kick off your Sunday with NFL Game Day Morning, the earliest and best pregame show. Catch the earliest news and live reports from around the league. Watch NFL Game Day Morning, Sundays at 9 Eastern, only on NFL Network.
Jets have 3 timeouts left. You got 32 seconds. You run 6-7 plays, get yourself in position, have an opportunity to try a field goal.
They need to get about 45 yards, 40 yards, 40, 45 yards.
We've seen this Jet team over the last couple of weeks in the biggest spots make their biggest plays. Sanchez, Tomlinson on the check down, and he gets out of bounds at the 36-yard line. It's a gain of 5.
The one thing that the Cincinnati Bengals team really doesn't have right now is a pass rusher. And so they have to generate pass rush with numbers or by scheme. Just as far as just one guy who can get after him, they don't have it.
Their leading sack total for any individual player is 1.
Which means
no pressure. Sanchez, Holmes working the sidelines, and he has a first down to the 47.
Now that took 5 seconds, and here's what you can do. You can throw the ball in the middle of the field, but if you're a receiver, Don't try and continue to run. You can give yourself up and call a timeout. These are the things that receivers have to be aware of, as well as the quarterback in a 2-minute drill.
The Jets haven't even needed to use one of their timeouts. First and 10, Sanchez hit Tomlinson, who didn't appear ready for it.
He wasn't, and that's okay. That incompletion is not really going to hurt anything right there. Defensively, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make them use the clock. You're trying, because they have 3 timeouts, you're not necessarily defending the sideline. You want to keep everything in front of you and make them have to methodically march and be patient to go down the field.
Wouldn't you think this is about time for one of those Santonio Holmes quick posts that have sort of been his trademark the last 3 weeks?
Holmes to the bottom of the screen. Sanchez, Brad Smith makes the catch to the Cincinnati 30.
That's a heck of a throw right there by Sanchez. He puts it away from the defender on the backside, and Smith with a nice adjustment to make this catch. Watch, defenders on the inside. He's going to throw it back to the outside. Yet Ndukwe coming from the inside out. That's a heck of a throw and catch.
Gain of 23.
When you have an athlete that's 6'2" like that, he can go get it. And a lean, quick, smooth athlete.
Speaking of smooth athletes, look at Rex.
He is an athlete. He's down about 40 pounds or so. Rolling along, looking good. Maybe more.
He's down a bunch.
Yeah.
He does look good. But not as good as this drive looks right now. This is pretty good here by Sanchez. I like this right here. He's showing that he's in control.
And you see him tell the referee, listen, I'm going to call a timeout. Be ready for it. It's 3 of 4 on this drive. 9 seconds to go in the half. Tomlinson to the 26, and Sanchez calls a timeout with 6 seconds to go.
And that's the 45 yards that we said. They're right there.
That's the value of having timeouts left in your pocket so that you don't have to, you can throw the ball in the middle of the field.
Surprised they didn't take a shot, Joe?
I'm surprised they didn't try something a little bit more with 8 seconds, but you know, your defense is playing well. It's a close game. Why give Cincinnati any kind of momentum on a sack or possibly have the clock run out? I'm surprised a little bit, but I thought it was a good call.
Sanchez talking with Braylon Edwards and Patrick Turner. As Nick Folk comes on to try a field goal, hit from 27 earlier. This from 44 yards. Marvin used one of his timeouts, and he does. As Folk kicks it and knocks it through, but Marvin Lewis elects to use that last timeout.
You know, it's really good in today's football. These special team coaches, they know their kickers down to, to the inch. Mike Westhoff is as good as there is out there, and you know, he knew, and as they were driving, knew exactly where his kicker could kick from and where to get to, and that's right where they put it.
And you saw the problem today in the Cowboys game. Late, they couldn't get that extra 5 or 6 yards, and Beeler had to try one from 59 for the Cowboys to send the game to overtime, and he missed.
And you also saw in that game Sean Payton try and call a timeout, and it didn't work, and Bueller missed one. So it's a chess game right in here.
Bolt from 44, and it's drifting left, and the timeout worked.
The first bit of luck that Marvin Lewis has had all season comes on the fate of his timeout.
And there's 1 second to go in the half. The operation was clean, the snap was good, and he just put a little too much draw on it. And Folk misses from 44 yards. Can't believe I did that.
Ouch.
Marvin thought the half was over, but there's still 1 second remaining. So Cincinnati, mission accomplished. They've kept this game tight. They've played good defense. They've held the Jets to 3, and they have the lead going to the locker room.
And they're dangerous.
And the Jets are getting booed off the field.
Well, that's the end of the first half. The Cincinnati Bengals lead the Jets 7-3. Stick around for the Sprint halftime show with Rich Eisen, Marshall Falk, Deion Sanders, and Steve Mariucci on Thanksgiving night from New York. Bengals in front, 7-3.
Tough talk is second nature in New York.
Under pressure, and he's going to get sacked. Palmer to the end zone, touchdown, Jordan Shipley. Palmer with time, looking for Terrell Owens, underthrew him, picked off by Cromartie.
We expect to be champions. We're telling you that we think we're better than your team.
Well, in the first half, the Jets were not the better team as we welcome you back to the new Meadowlands Stadium on this Thanksgiving evening. Thursday Night Football, Bengals lead the Jets 7-3. Bob, Joe, and Matt. 8-2 Jets. You surprised that they're struggling, Joe?
No, because they've struggled the last 3 weeks. They're not that good a football team, to be perfectly honest with you right now. And this is another one of those tough football games for them where they're waiting for one play to make a play. They needed to come out and dominate and serve notice that they belong in that elite category. What I've seen so far, there's nothing elite about the first half from the Jets.
And the bottom line here is that this is a great indicator of where our league is right now, because there are no dominant teams. We said at the start of the game, you asked me about this, and we said, this team has a good record, but they have not played any dominant section of their team at all, whether it's special teams, offense, defense. But they have found a way to win, and that's what they'll have to do here in the second half.
All right, let's send it down to Alex Flanagan.
Bob, Marvin Lewis came into this game saying that his team had little margin for error. So despite 2 turnovers, they are still leading this game, and he says they are fighting and battling. They need to make sure they don't get ahead of themselves in the second half. His depleted secondary has really held up well in the first half. Marvin Lewis says that his team, though, needs to defend the run better in the second half, Bob.
He was actually chuckling with us when we spoke with him yesterday about all the guys that they've been bringing in, trying guys out during practice. Chad Ochocinco in the first half, 4 catches, 41 yards. Terrell Owens, 2 catches for 9 yards. Brad Smith back deep for the Jets to start this third quarter.
I think that was a big key. You got the running game going a little bit more. You got Chad involved. And I think Chad Ochocinco against Antonio Cromartie is a matchup that is made for Chad. He gets to use his feet. He doesn't have to worry about getting muscled around up top like Darrelle Revis can do to him.
Well, the Jets' calling card has been winning the second half. Sometimes it's late, but it's always positive. Can they do it again? Petrie's kick fielded by Smith at the 13. Smith out across the 30 to the 31-yard line. Jeremy Miles on the tackles. We take a look at the quarterback comparison in the first half. Palmer threw a pair of interceptions, the 1 touchdown to Shipley. Sanchez has made all the right decisions, 10 of 16, 115 yards. Missed field goal at the end of the half could have pulled the Jets to within 1.
Now the first half, this secondary for the Cincinnati Bengals, I thought played as well as they could play. They're going to have to do that again, particularly Jonathan Wade in the second half.
Both starting safeties not playing tonight. Crocker on injured reserve. Sanchez on a 1st and 10. Rips one to Santonio Holmes, who gets tackled at the 47-yard line by Dhani Jones. Gain of 16.
The play action that the Jets can use will be helpful because you do have a new secondary that has to lay back. The linebackers will bite up, and you'll be able to find an area between the linebackers and also back. You see Malaluga come up for the run, leaves Santonio Holmes wide open in the middle.
And around, Brad Smith. Brad Smith's gonna go. 10-5 touchdown, 53 yards.
That never happens without the block of Dustin Keller.
And Mr. Everything does it again, Brad Smith.
Watch Dustin Keller, number 81. He's coming right into your living room. Right there. All he does is make the corner have to jump around him. And when he does that, Brad Smith takes advantage of the misplaced player, and he's down the left sideline.
Second longest run of Smith's career. And the extra point, good. So the Jets come out in the third quarter and assert themselves. Brad Smith with the touchdown. Jets by 3.
Thursday Night Football is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com and by Warner Brothers Pictures' Yogi Bear. Only in theaters December 17th.
Brad Smith was speeding like a New York City cabbie on that 53-yard touchdown run as Mike Zimmer's defense gives up the end around. First team since the 1964 Oilers to allow 20-plus runs in each of the first 11 games. They only allowed 5 all of last season. And Brad Smith, who plays quarterback, runs the Seminole, plays specials, does everything for the Jets, puts them back on top. Short kick by Folk. Scott to the 18. Scott to the 30. And he gets tackled there. 12-yard return. Eric Smith on the tackle.
Let's go back to the touchdown. I want you to watch Nick Mangold, the center, number 74. There's the first guy he blocked. He takes him and throws him into the second. Takes out both linebackers. Braylon Edwards gets a block down the field. And DeBrickashaw Ferguson on the front end, along with Keller, do a good job of getting their people taken care of. Don't necessarily have to be physical, but they get them moved. Smith does the rest.
Shipley in motion as now the Bengals try to respond. Benson finds a little cutback lane, then Smith wrestles him down after a gain of 3. Benson, 12 carries, 34 yards.
If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you don't need to change anything that you did in the first half. You come out, you get positive yards on 1st and 10. You give your defense a chance to reconvene, think about what's going on, rest a little bit, talk about what just happened, get some first downs, and move the football.
Center Kyle Cook calling out protections. On 2nd down, Palmer in traffic, intended for Gresham. Cromartie on the coverage. Cromartie has an interception tonight, 1 of 2 against Palmer.
Just look at Antonio Cromartie physically. He has such long arms. And when he's on top of you, he can reach around you. He's one of the few corners who has this advantage.
Surprised he got away with the tug of the jersey.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it also helps when you're holding on to a guy's shoulder pad.
Hey, if they don't throw it, it wasn't a penalty.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Oh, yeah, you, Mr. I never held anybody.
3rd and 7, late pressure, pass batted down at the line. Jason Taylor got his mitts up.
Well, you talk about a guy that's just found a home. Jason Taylor, 4 sacks coming in. You know, the ultimate pass rusher, but he's so smart. If he can't get by Whitworth, he just simply stays at the line of scrimmage, watches Carson Palmer's eyes, and then makes a play on the ball.
Now, usually when a guy bats the ball down, it's because he's been blocked at the line of scrimmage, but he had great awareness and did knock it down.
Kevin Huber to punt. Let's get some pressure. Good kick, sending Wilson back inside his 15. The rookie falls and he gets touchdown at the 10. 54-yard punt. Loses a yard on the return. Jets with the ball and the lead in the 3rd. Well, if you want this kind of audio for an hour, make sure you join us for Sound Effects. Exclusive 1-hour all sound show. Bengals Jets. Tonight's game Saturday at 8:30 p.m. All effects for 1 hour.
Just noise. I'm sorry, sound effects.
Jets will start from their own 11. Screen, Tomlinson gets a block to the 20-yard line. Brandon Moore sprung him, gain of 9. You know, everyone always talks about DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Nick Mangold, Damian Woody. No one ever talks about Brandon Moore, who made the league as a free agent in 03. Was an NFL Europe player, number 65, and he's kind of the unsung hero.
Brandon Moore is one of those guys who has gotten better and better every year, and they have a ton of confidence. But for a right guard, he's one of the best right guards in the league.
Sean Green hit by Dhani Jones, but he twists forward near the first down marker.
Yeah, so what makes a good right guard? So just as an overview, the right guard is generally the guy who's a tough guy. He's got to be a smart guy. They put him in a lot of tough positions because protection usually slides away from him, and he'll go to the left side. Moore is one of those guys who can take and handle a one-on-one on the inside, and he's done it pretty well.
Originally a free agent in 2002, made the Jet squad in 03. Sean Green to the outside, out to the 27-yard line. Reggie Nelson on the tackle after a gain of 5. Well, you know, sometimes you got to build via rookie free agents. Other times you got to go out into free agency, and you have to draft wisely, and that's kind of how this whole Jet team has been put together, with smart acquisitions in the draft and via free agency with the likes of Tomlinson and Cromartie and Jason Taylor brought in this year.
Braylon Edwards last year.
Bart Scott last year to sort of captain that defense. Sanchez's pass batted down by Michael Johnson.
We talk about the secondary of the Cincinnati Bengals having issues, but also up front, Frosty Rucker's out, Tank Johnson is out, and you know, Matt, we were talking yesterday, Tank Johnson's probably their one guy up front, probably their best pass rusher overall.
Gets off the ball. Michael Johnson is kind of a tweener guy who can play linebacker and defensive end. When he learns to play hard every play, he could be special.
3rd and 4. Middle of the field. Holmes has a first down to the 33. Well, we talked about acquisitions and all the new faces. A guy like Santonio Holmes, who picks up the first down. Draft day trades. Mark Sanchez, they move up in the first round. They move up to get Darrelle Revis. David Harris has been spectacular. Free agency, LaDainian Tomlinson, Jason Taylor, Bart Scott, Jim Leonard, Tony Richardson, Damian Woody. Good, solid veterans. And then trades like Braylon Edwards, who gave him that vertical threat that they were missing, and now Cromartie and Holmes.
Those last two, Cromartie and Holmes, those are the big ones.
Green to the 35-yard line. Keith Rivers on the tackle after gain of 3, and that's Mike Tannenbaum, the general manager, who's done a great job in personnel.
Matthew, I would say that there's a couple other big ones on there too. LaDainian Tomlinson being one of them. And when they got Cromartie, they had Lito Shepherd playing that corner last year, sort of towards the end a little bit. Now you got Cromartie. You know, I mean, he's got, I mean, all the experience in the world. Only in his 5th year. And this defense is built from the corners in, and now Absolutely. They got 2 good ones.
Yeah, that's the cornerstone of that defense.
2nd and 7. He's looking for Holmes at first. He was covered. Sanchez avoids the sack again. Intercepted by Malaluga. Inside the 40 to the 36-yard line. First turnover by the Jets.
And that's completely on Sanchez. He was trying to buy time. Malaluga tracked him. He was trying to look like he was trying to hit Sean Green back inside.
It doesn't matter. 5 seconds before he ever threw that ball, he should have never thrown it. Right now, throw it away. Just throw it away. I have no earthly idea where you're trying to throw it, but you should have thrown it away. And he talked about that with us the other day. Trying hard, not on 1st and 2nd down to make a mistake.
And we asked Malaluga about his former teammate Sanchez if he keeps in touch with him, and he said, hey, Mark's gone Hollywood. He changed his phone number. I talked to Clay Matthews and Cushing, but I guess Mark has gone a little Hollywood, so he must have enjoyed his first career pick even more right there. Ocho Cinco thinking about throwing. For Owens, can't reel it in.
I got to tell you something. If there was ever a description of offensive pass interference on that particular play, it was it. Terrell Owens just takes his arm and pushes the defender away down the field. Now this is Chad throwing the ball. And T.O. trying to make a play on it, but he creates space against Darrelle Revis just by pushing him away completely.
Wasn't much space because Revis was all over him.
So we saw Malaluga's first ever interception and Ocho Cinco's first ever pass attempt. Jets by 3. Benson slipped And he gets only a yard. David Harris gets credit for the tackle.
Let me go back to Mark Sanchez's interception for a second. You spend the first 10 weeks of the season proving to your coaches that you're responsible and that you can throw the football. And then you go and make that kind of a play. He was sacked in the first half trying to make a play instead of throwing the ball away. Now, once again, trying to force the ball. You don't have to, what he's continuing to learn is you don't have to force the game to come to you. Just throw it away.
Now he needs his defense to pick him up a little. Palmer is going to run it. Palmer gets a block by Shipley, but he slides down at the 30, and he's going to be short of the first down.
But he gave himself a chance to be able to get into field goal position. And so now this sets up to be about a 47-yarder. If they do it, maybe they go for it from here.
Well, they have the rookie free agent kicker out of Ohio State, Aaron Petrie, who was a college walk-on, signed just last week, and they're going to go for it on 4th and 3.
Unless you really have no confidence in your kicker, this is not a good decision.
They're 9 of 10 on 4th downs this season, the Bengals.
Still.
He's spreading them out.
Palmer calls a timeout as he takes the snap in the back of the head. And with the Bengals, we'll take the timeout with them. So a big 4th and 3 coming up for Cincinnati, down 3 here in the 3rd for Carson Palmer and the Bengals. Back to the New Meadowlands Stadium, the 8-2 Jets found themselves down 7-3 to the Bengals at the half. A Brad Smith 53-yard end around put the Jets on top. Cincinnati's driving, and they're going for it against this Jet defense on a 4th and 3.
If you're a Jet defensive lineman and you find yourself blocked, you've got to have to get your hands up because they're not going to throw it down the field.
Palmer dropped by Shipley. He had the first down. Coleman on the coverage.
It's going to be a roughing the passer penalty.
Flag on the play.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 44 defense, leading with the helmet into the quarterback. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
That's James Ihedebo with the penalty.
He comes from the top of the screen. He's a free runner. He comes in, lowers his helmet, and sticks him right in the chest.
That's a bad call.
Well, from that angle, it looks like he hits him in the chest.
He does hit him in the chest, but he lowered his head. I don't know. I mean, we saw
That's
one
the
down
target area.
We saw one down in the end
torso.
zone. The National Football League is going to have to define it better. I mean, I know you can't lead with your helmet, and so
that's how
I don't know
tackle.
but I don't understand.
It gives Cincinnati a first down on an incomplete 4th down pass, though, and it keeps the drive alive. Benson on a 1st and 10. Picks up about 2. Mike DeVito with the first hit.
But to continue what they did in the first half, and they're doing it now, this Bengal offense has some confidence going. They're starting to believe that they can move the football on this Jet defense. They went for it on 4th down. They dropped the ball. Shipley shouldn't have dropped it. They get a break with the penalty, but they continue to go right at him.
2nd and 8. Bengals trying to regain the lead from the Jets 13. Palmer on the play fake. They'll just throw it away. Ocho Cinco was the nearest Bengal.
Now there's a little something. Mark Sanchez, and he studies other quarterbacks, and he's a student of this game, is you watch what Carson Palmer just did on this play. You get rid of the football on 2nd down. You give yourself an opportunity to make another play.
And I got to tell you, with this Jet defense, they don't have a pass rusher on this defense. Absent scheme and bringing numbers, they don't have a guy who can just come straight up and beat you.
And that's been the conversation in the New York media about them not being able to get to the quarterback without the blitzes. 3rd and 8 at the Jets 13. Palmer with Todd, middle of the field, but short of the first down is Shipley. David Harris on the tackle. And now they'll send out Aaron Petrie.
and that's smart quarterback play. He had zone everything in the end zone and in front of it. They're going to make you and force you have to throw down, so he just took what he could get and kick it and tie this thing up.
Petrie was signed on November the 16th. He's a rookie out of Ohio State. He spent the preseason with Detroit. Was a college walk-on at Ohio State. From 27 to tie the game. Huber to hold. Operations clean. And he missed it. Well, maybe that's why they went for it on 4th and 3 earlier. Didn't even make it from 27. Jets hanging on to a 3-point lead. Jets by 3 here in the third, 6:32 to go. So James Ihedebo of the Jets, who on a 4th and 3 incompletion was called for roughing the passer. But Aaron Petrie misses a game-time field goal for Cincinnati from 27 yards out. Jets start at their own 20, up by 3. Sanchez, Keller. Runs out of one tackle by Robert Gathers, and then the rest of the troops come in, and Chinedum Ndukwe comes up to clean it up, keeps it to a gain of 3.
And Keith Rivers does a real nice job of staying in the play, but I like the call from Brian Schottenheimer, the offensive coordinator of the Jets. Mark Sanchez just made a horrible mistake throwing the interception like he did. Now you bring him right back out, you put the ball back in his hands, you put him right back on the saddle, and let him ride the horse, and that worked out fine right now.
Second and 7 handoff. Tomlinson to the 25-yard line. Domata-Peko, Keith Rivers helped make the tackle. They unpile. Pat Sims also there to make the hit.
When you consider that, 10 of the 22 guys that you started a week ago aren't playing. I mean, you've got 5 of them that didn't play last week. I mean, there's the numbers.
Take a look at the notable injuries, and they're all on defense for Cincinnati, including 4 guys who are on injured reserve.
Jonathan Joseph, their starting corner.
3rd and 5, nearly intercepted by Jonathan Wade, who was signed 2 days ago. A 4th-year player out of Tennessee, a former 3rd-round pick of St. Louis, who spent 8 games with the Lions earlier this year.
See his eyes back at the quarterback? He read it perfectly. He felt the receiver, read the quarterback, and made a great break. That should have been a pick.
I think you got to share one of your turkey legs with Wade after the game. Punt inside the 20. Did one of the Bengals touch it? Ihedebo falls on it at the 13, and yeah, it's jet ball. I thought it hit either Caldwell or one of the other Bengals, and Ihedebo was there to fall on it.
Once again, Mike Westhoff, the special teams coach of the Jets, has got his guys thinking. Look at the hustle by Ihedebo. Hit Caldwell, just glanced Caldwell's helmet. The side judge came in signaling it, and you see him just sort of lollygagging after the ball, and Ihedebo goes and makes the play.
Caldwell has no idea it ever touched him. He has no, because he's right there, could have jumped on it.
Just grazes off his helmet.
But even Crosby, the return man, must have not thought it hit Caldwell because he went to go block. He didn't go chase the ball.
See, I don't see that. And Caldwell is going over to make sure that it gets down. I'd challenge that. I don't know if you can.
61-yard.
You can
change your field. You could have challenged it.
Yeah, you can.
Hand off to Benson, but it's a moot point now. Hand off for Sean Green. Moot point now, though, because the Jets have run a play. And take a look at it again. Does it hit the helmet?
Just grazes in front of him.
I'm not sure about it. And you would think,
I thought it did.
If you're Caldwell, you would think you'd know if something hits you. I mean, he just...
In this game, I mean, it could be a head, it could be a hand, it could be just about anything.
Sanchez in a 2nd and 9 to the end zone. Touchdown, Santonio Holmes.
They brought pressure inside. Had Wade man-to-man on the outside. Holmes gets to his inside. The ball's perfectly thrown because of good protection, and it's 6 quick.
Santonio Holmes once again runs that post. Boy, when he plants that right foot and he breaks to the post, he's going at a high velocity.
He broke the corner's ankles with that cut. So the Jets may make the Bengals pay dearly for the mishandled punt. As Falk gets the extra point, Sanchez zips in the touchdown. Jets in control in the 3rd.
Thursday Night Football is sponsored by Coors Light, the new Silver Bullet aluminum pint from Coors Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Santonio Holmes with the touchdown catch after the mishandled punt by Cincinnati. The Jets make them pay dearly. 3 straight games with a touchdown catch for Holmes. T.O. and the Bengals now find themselves down 10. What a swing. After Cincinnati forces a punt, they don't handle it, and they wind up giving up 7 2 plays later. Scott on the return. Scott shouldered down by Leonard at the 30-yard line. Well, how big has Santonio Holmes been in Denver? Draws a pass interference. Jets go on to win that game late in overtime in Detroit a couple of weeks ago. Catch and run, score. Does the same thing to the Browns the following week. Then last week, late touchdown catch from Mark Sanchez and a come-from-behind win against the Texans. And then here tonight, he didn't wait for the last minutes or overtime.
No,
got this one in the 3rd quarter.
He's a little early.
Well, he's a little early, and he could afford to be because he beat Wade cleanly. Good protection by the offensive line. They cleared it visually underneath. Sanchez puts it on the money.
Palmer just heaves it up. Nice adjustment by Owens on Revis to make the catch in a ball that was fluttering.
That's the 2nd time that Carson Palmer has had to make that kind of a throw. He's just hanging it up and letting the receiver go get it. Chad Ochocinco had the first one. T.O. is working. I mean, Revis has got him working hard for everything, for every inch.
That's one thing you'll always get from Terrell Owens. He's not afraid to work, never has been. Put him out in the field, he will work hard.
Carson Palmer said his speed is deceptive. His explosion is still there. Benson on a 2nd and 2. Stuffed by David Harris. After a gain of about a half-yard, Bart Scott got the first hit.
You want to start talking about one of the most underrated linebackers in all of football. There he is, David Harris. I say that because he plays the run very well. He understands blitzes very well. He runs the front, and he's very good in coverage. Nobody really seems to talk about him, but he's one of the good young linebackers in this league. Very underrated.
3rd and 2, linebacker Dan Skuta in at fullback. Benson again is not.
He didn't
get there.
Nope.
It looks like he's about a half-yard short. The line is unofficial. The line judge comes in. It's going to be close. They'll have to get a measurement here.
I don't think he made it.
David Harris in the bottom of that pile again. Nice read. You know, so much of playing that inside position is keying, reading it, and then diagnosing it. It's all about making quick decisions.
And also, man,
he does it well.
He's the young one in the bunch, too. I mean, you got Calvin Pace at 8 years, Brian Thomas at 9, Bart Scott at 9, and Harris only has 4. So he's still learning. Matter of fact, the entire defense is still learning one another.
And Benson was about the length of a football short, so on 4th and less than 1, Cincinnati will punt. Less than 2 minutes to go here in the 3rd. Good high punt by Huber. Leonard in his own 8. Flag on the play as he gets tackled at the 12 by Clark Harris. 51-yard punt, 3-yard return, and we'll check the flag. Preliminary call is against the Jets. So we'll sort out the flag. Here's Mike Carey.
During the return, illegal block on the back. Receiving team number 31. Half the distance to the goal. They keep the ball. First down.
It's the second one on Cromartie tonight on punt returns. Get live online audio of every NFL game with NFL Audio Pass. Sign up for the midseason special offer. Search Audio Pass on NFL.com. Well, Mark Sanchez has pumped up the audio here in the third quarter, throwing a touchdown pass to Santonio Holmes. Jets trailed 7-3 at the half. An end around 53-yard touchdown run by Brad Smith put the Jets in front. Jets start from their own 7. Green, the tailback. Green fights to get back to the line of scrimmage. Pat Sims on the tackle.
It's amazing how close these two teams really are and how close, you know, it's just a game of inches. It's always talked about, but go back to Wade's breakup, which could have been an interception.
Oh yeah, it changes the whole.
It changes the whole thing.
They don't have to punt. They've got the ball in the end zone. It was going to be a touchdown. There wasn't anybody in front of them.
And then the punt just
raises Caldwell's helmet.
Just raises it.
Well, he dove, so at least they would have had the ball plus territory if he holds on to it. Second attempt for Sanchez. Patrick Turner, second-year man out of USC, picked up off waivers from Miami with the catch. His second catch in 2 weeks.
You think Mark Sanchez is pretty comfortable with Patrick Turner? Worked a little bit at USC together?
That's true. Now remember something. Last week, Houston came storming back. Cleveland drove the ball late against the Jets. So they have not been able to shut the door the last couple weeks defensively. They have a 10-point lead in the last half minute here in the third.
And Cincinnati completely fell apart last week in the second half.
Third and 5 for Sanchez. Under pressure, gets sacked, and then throws it away.
That could be a safety.
Intentional grounding.
No, they're going to call him at the 1-yard line. That will not be a safety.
His forward progress was stopped for a sack at the 2-yard line. Fourth down.
Carlos Dunlap gets the sack.
Dunlap has got him in his grasp right at the 2-yard, right there. They'll call him dead. Even though he throws the ball, they blew the whistle before he was on the ground. It's a quick whistle that helps. Ball was out of his hands.
So the ruling was that his forward progress was stopped, and it's a sack. And that is the end of the third quarter. Sanchez under pressure, gets sacked by Dunlap for the second time. Jets try to get their 9th win of the season. Have a 10-point lead against the 2-8 Bengals. Cincinnati will have the ball to start the fourth. Can the Jets hang on? Tonight's aerial coverage is being presented by Southwest Airlines. Look at the Empire State Building in Midtown Manhattan, about 10 miles or so from the new Meadowlands Stadium as we get set for the start of the fourth quarter. Jets in front 17-7. Weatherford, the punt. Ball got deflected, and it'll come to rest at the 24-yard line. So Weatherford didn't have a lot of room, and the ball was partially blocked. Now a little pushing and shoving with Michael Johnson. Got some pressure up the middle.
His own guy. His own guy blocks it.
Josh Mauga.
That's Gathers who pushed him right into that. That's a great job by Gathers.
That's what happens when you get squeezed to 10 yards.
And a little shove thrown by Lowry.
You may not have got a penalty, but you're going to get a letter from the commissioner.
So Cincinnati with great field position at the Jets 24, down 10 here in the first seconds of the fourth. Screen deflected by Jason Taylor.
Boy, he is so good at that. We saw him knock one down before. If you think you're going to throw a screen over Jason Taylor, you better get it up a little bit higher, because we've seen how many times he's intercepted balls like that.
Yeah, but the offensive linemen, they've got to punch him in the stomach to get those hands down. It's a quick set. You punch right in the gut. drop the hands, and then throw.
Maybe he's got a really hard stomach, and it doesn't affect him.
Doing that PX90 or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Can't believe you didn't know that. 2nd and 10 at the Jets 24. Palmer with time. Shipley's got a first down. Gain of 12 on the play.
Jordan Shipley is really smooth. Now, you know, he's like a Wes Welker, like a Brandon Stokely, works hard inside and sits down, snaps his head around. That's what you love to see from a quarterback's perspective. Be very definitive in the movements that you make, and I know where I want to go with the football.
And he's smart, and he sees the holes in the zone, and he knows he's looking at the same thing his quarterback did.
1st and 10, draw to Benson. Calvin Pace drops him after a loss of a half yard.
Watch Calvin Pace is coming off the right side. Nobody touches him. No, it's just pure speed. You got to slow down the edge. There's always somebody assigned to the edge. That time, he just ran right past it.
Pace missed the early part of the season with a foot injury. Still rounding into form. 2nd and 10, just inside the Jets 13. Benson takes it inside the 10 to about the 9-yard line. Sean Ellis on the hit with Trevor Price.
It was right about here last week against the Buffalo Bills where Carson Palmer makes a throw and it winds up getting picked off. So they have to be smart, protect the opportunity to get some points. You make this a 17-10 game. It's a one-score game. You put the pressure back on the Jets offense.
Look at the Jets defense right now. You got all guys who can run. There's no size in there at all. It's all speed people.
That streak almost ended last week against Houston. Palmer with time to the end zone, knocked away at the last second by Brodney Poole.
Brodney Poole, number 22 up top. You'll see him left part of your screen. All he's doing is staring at Carson Palmer. Now T.O.'s open in the middle, and Brodney Poole just comes again from the offside, where as a quarterback, you just don't expect to see hangers.
Well, and you have to have somebody affect Brodney Poole. There's nobody in front of him or at him to be able to make him move or hold him, and so he can drift back inside.
Petrie from 28. He missed from 27 in the 3rd. This time he knocks it through. So Cincinnati gets to within one possession. Jets in front, 17-10.
Thursday Night Football is brought to you by Sprint, the Now Network, and by Travelers, insurance for auto, home, and business.
Thanksgiving in New York City. The Jets at the new Meadowlands Stadium leading the Bengals 17-10 with 12:33 to go in the 4th quarter. Chad Ochocinco in this ball game, 4 catches, 41 yards.
Quiet second half. He had them all in the first half.
One of the key moments in this game, a punt that was not fielded cleanly by Cincinnati, recovered by the Jets deep in plus territory. It's Antonio Holmes with the touchdown catch. That's the difference right now. Petrie just kicked a 28-yard field goal to get Cincinnati to within 7. Petrie on the kickoff. Brad Smith on the return. Smith to midfield. Smith could go, and he will. Touchdown Jets, 90 yards.
Oh my goodness, does he have another gear. Watch the beautiful job he does. He works up inside. Now as he starts to cut across, Ihedibo does a great job out in front of him. He sets him up, and nobody can close on him. And here comes the gear. There goes that. Now we've opened it up to full throttle. Wow, is he smooth.
extra point, hits the upright, and bounds through for Folk.
Why not? It's a Jet season, all in one play.
Brad Smith had a 53-yard end around for a touchdown on the first possession of the third. Here in the fourth, 90 yards for the score. And he did it with one shoe. Officially an 89-yard return for a touchdown. Tom Nelson gets a piece of the left heel of Brad Smith. And then watch this. He loses the shoe at midfield, and he's still fast enough to beat people 50 yards and take it in for the score. Second touchdown of the night for Mr. Everything, and the Jet lead is now 14. Bernard Scott tackled at the 25-yard line. 19-yard return, Josh Mauga on the tackle. He deserves a little air after the night he's had. He's taking the air out of Cincinnati.
Has he got a stride? I mean, once he gets up to full speed, he just runs away from the world.
That is a do-everything guy. He can play quarterback. He can throw the heck out of the football.
Yep.
He can play a receiver. He's a running back. They use him on all special teams. He's got great toughness. That's a rare guy right there.
And the difference tonight, the Jets have made a couple of huge plays on special teams. Pass for Benson, incomplete. Scott on the hit.
We talked about Brad Smith and his versatility. They're not afraid to give him the ball anywhere. He's a return man. When he gets in the open field like Joe is talking about, has the great smooth stride and eats up a lot of yardage. And then this is where he really excels, his open field running. What's really amazing about this is he didn't break any stride at all as his shoe was coming off. He just took it with him and took it on in.
2 touchdowns for Brad Smith. That end around we showed you gave the Jets the lead to start the third. Palmer, sacked by Pace, back of the 20-yard line.
That's great coverage down the field by the New York Jets. Let's watch Revis on the front end. He just jumps all over T.O., nowhere to go.
And Dennis Rowland, the right tackle, who wound up trying to block Pace, he does it as long as he possibly can. Offensive linemen have clocks in their heads as well. They know when the ball is supposed to be out.
Now you saw Revis there, Coleman there, and you also saw Cromartie there. All three of them had good coverage.
Loss of 5 after the sack, 3rd and 15. Bengals 1 for 5 on 3rd downs of 9 or more yards. Pressure, screen through the hands of Gresham. Ahenabo came on the blitz. And a quick 3 and out for Cincinnati.
This is one Gresham was not going to handle. Carson Palmer gets this out in a hurry. I mean, it's thrown it's hard. It's tipped also by Pace again. Calvin Pace just does get a finger on it, and Gresham can't make the play.
But that's a great example of the scheme that Rex Ryan runs that gives you problems. It's just numbers to a side.
Leonard calls for a fair catch at the Jets 43. 37-yard punt, no return. Jets lead it by 14 here in the fourth. Well, next Thursday night football heads to Philadelphia. Michael Vick and the Eagles host Matt Schaub and the Houston Texans, 8 p.m. Eastern. The coverage begins. Houston has a big game at home this Sunday against Tennessee. Philadelphia with a big game on Sunday in Chicago to take on the Bears.
Houston only
first place team.
Houston's only 2 games back in that division. Jacksonville has a huge game this weekend.
Right here in this building against the Giants. Jets start from their own 42. LaDainian Tomlinson picks up about 3 on the play. Keith Rivers on the tackle. We take a look at the AFC playoff picture. Patriots win. Their next game is a Monday night showdown against these Jets. Jets have already beaten the Patriots once so far this season. And then you see it's shocking through 10 games to see Indianapolis anywhere but in first place. They've dealt with a ton of injuries. The Raiders at 5-5. San Diego starting to come on now with an impressive win on Monday night.
Miami's 5-5 is under a lot of pressure because they're beat up up front so badly.
Tomlinson ran into Domata Peko.
One to me you're going to have to keep your eyes on, and they do it every year, is San Diego. Phillip Rivers is playing at a really high level, and now they're going to get Vincent Jackson back. They're starting to play good defense. They're getting healthy again.
Antonio Gates didn't play last week.
But they lost, and Patrick Creighton on his touchdown catch injured his wrist. Now he's out. Everybody wishes they had a Brad Smith. He does everything. Lines up in the slot left on a 3rd and 6. Sanchez over the head of Holmes. And incomplete. 9:53 to go, so the Jets failed to pick up the first down. Leading by 14, Quan Cosby goes back deep. Return the punt for Cincinnati. Cincinnati needs a spark. Maybe they can get it out of special teams. Cosby's been quiet tonight. Weatherford, good high punt. Cosby watches it bounce at the 5 and into the end zone for a touchback. Well, the Jets in front 24-10. Guys, some big news from the National Football League. On Monday, the league and the Players Association had very productive meetings. Categorized, Jason Locke on 4 of NFL.com reported that there was some very positive ideas exchanged back and forth. Matt, a very good sign for the fans, knowing that productive talks are happening.
Yeah, I think it's a great step in the right direction, and more importantly, there's going to be, they're going to get some ground rules covered, and they're going to find some common ground. But the most important part is that they're having the talks, and they're past all the rhetoric, and now they can sit down and try to get something done, because it's critical right now.
And it's good to hear something positive. This time of year, in other CBAs, what we've heard is a lot of negative, a lot of contentious comments coming out. It seems like everybody wants to get a deal done.
Commissioner Goodell and DeMaurice Smith were part of the meetings, along with selected front office personnel from the NFL. Flag on the play on the incomplete pass intended for Chad Ochocinco. Bill Polian of the Colts was there. We checked the call with Mike Carey. Mike Holmgren was in attendance. Rich McKay, along with Dominic Foxworth and Kevin Mawai from the players' side.
Personal foul, major face mask, offense, number 63. Half the distance to the goal, still first down.
Right guard Bobby Williams called for the penalty. And right there on Sean Ellis. Well, you got to protect your quarterback at all costs.
Yeah, if you move your feet, you probably can get over and block the guy too, which would help a little bit and eliminate the penalty. We see a lot of guys grabbing them around the neck, end rushers, tackles, just sort of hanging them around the neck. The guys up on the defensive side seem to be getting quicker and quicker.
Screen for Benson. They miss a block at the 10, and then Bart Scott makes the tackle.
That's Bart Scott. He was really nicely played. He's out in the flat. There's a blocker right in front of him. He just sidesteps him, and then David Harris forces him back in. Scott makes the play.
The muddle huddle. Scott said this is the most talented team from top to bottom I've ever been on.
They've got to start getting the ball to Chad Ochocinco again, somehow, some way.
Got to protect the quarterback. Gets sacked. David Harris. Loss of 8.
There he is again. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. One of the good blitzers in this league, particularly for an inside guy. Watch him, 52, coming right there. And it's really well done by Jason Taylor to hold that blocker just a second and allowed Harris to come clean.
One of the reasons why Cincinnati is 4 of 13 on third downs, 6 of them have been 9 or more yards. They're 1 for 6. Number 7 is coming up right here, 3rd and 28.
I used to look to the sidelines and the coach just ignored me.
Keep praying for defensive holding. Shipley, not nearly enough as Leonard throws him out of bounds after a gain of 12.
In the second half, these Jet corners have turned it up a notch. He had 4 catches for Ochocinco in the first half, none here in the second half.
But also the guys up front, the pressure. Carson Palmer, Matt, really has not had an opportunity to be able to go anywhere with the football.
Yep, works hand in glove.
Credit defensive coordinator Mike Pettin, who makes the calls for the Jets, dialing up the right pressures. Huber with the punt. Kyle Wilson, fair catch at the 48. 37-yard punt, no return. Mark Sanchez of the Jets back on offense, up by 14. Well, in a city with 2 baseball teams and 2 NFL teams and hockey and basketball, the Jets have always been fighting for some profile. And Rex Ryan has come in and changed the culture. He's grabbed the back pages of the local tabloids, and he's been out front. Jets were on Hard Knocks earlier this year, and they've done a really good job. Rex Ryan has put it on his shoulders. He's been the front man, and he's got even the fans on a it's Thanksgiving, it's not even Halloween. They're dressing up as Fat Man Robin. Sanchez going for Braylon Edwards, makes the catch, and then stepped out of bounds at the 11, and he did not get his feet in.
And that's Mark Sanchez's throw. The third down throw on the last series was high and away. This is just a gimme. Just throw it up, not out of bounds, throw it up the field. You just don't give Braylon Edwards an opportunity to make the play on the ball. Yeah, Mark Sanchez has not thrown the ball very well tonight at all.
Braylon's going to be mad at himself for that one, too. Better awareness to keep his feet in bounds, and he has himself a big play.
Yeah, but no, that throw
doesn't matter, Joe. He's got to make that catch. He knows it. I guarantee he knows it.
And Mark knows it, too.
Sean Green picks up 2 to the 49-yard line. Well, I mean, sure, Joe, from the quarterback's perspective, you want to see a better throw, but Matt, your point is well taken, and the receivers need to know where they are in the field.
Yeah, but if your quarterback if you're looking over your left inside shoulder and the quarterback hangs one out towards the sidelines, and you have to do a pirouette to be able to find the ball and then get your feet in, I think you make it much more difficult for him than you have to.
Yeah, but Joe,
you get paid to do that.
That's why you're there.
But you get paid to throw the football where receivers can catch it easily.
3rd and 8, you get paid to win 2, and the Jets trying to close in on win 9. Batted down at the line by Michael Johnson, his 2nd of the night, and the Jets go 3 and out for the 2nd possession with 7:10 to go in the ballgame.
Okay, this goes back to what we were saying earlier. This Jets team, while they're up by 2 scores, they do not look dominant. They do not look like you go, wow, this is a great football team.
Their special teams has made the difference tonight. You had the 1 score because of the bump on the helmet, then you had Brad Smith returning the other one.
Weatherford on the punt, and Cosby finally calls for a fair catch after a 46-yard punt. One thing the Jets know for certain is Darrelle Revis, tonight he's been on Terrell Owens and done a great job.
Well, T.O. started off by saying he's just an average guy to him, but this is not an average corner, okay? This guy can do a lot of things and do them well. He can be physical. He'll make you work. He can turn on a dime. He's got great hips, great balance. He'll tackle you. This is as complete a corner as there is in the National Football League, and oh, by the way, T.O., he is way above average.
3 catches, 17 yards. And the thing about Revis, watching practice yesterday, he doesn't let anybody during a walkthrough catch a ball on him.
And just
and
the way
it's a mindset.
Yeah, and he goes through everything. He keeps his feet. He works at it on every single play, even if they're walking through it.
Palmer overshoots Owens. Revis right there. Well, Darrelle Revis, I mean, Matt, he's a Pennsylvania guy, and one thing that's really cool is the fact that defense wins championships. Rex Ryan, Marvin Lewis coached together in Baltimore under Brian Billick and the Ravens. Mike Smith of the Falcons was also on that step. A lot of familiarity with these 2 teams.
And Darrelle Revis is one of the corners. Remember, he had Chris McAllister and Simeon Samari Roll in Baltimore, so he's got 2 great ones here as well.
Palmer gets it away.
That could be a safety.
Grounding, yes, safety. Trevor Price with the pressure forcing the safety.
Well, if you're a defensive head coach like Rex Ryan is, when your defense gets a safety, there's nothing sweeter for him. He gets off the ball, just powers by Kyle Cook, the center, and Carson Palmer doesn't stand a chance. Nobody over there in the pocket.
Ball doesn't even get back to the line of scrimmage.
Joe, you said it right. The whole key was his first 2 steps. Man, he blew off the ball.
Look at Rex. He's chest bumping people.
Oh, I mean, a defensive safety. Are you kidding me? A safety from his defense? Love it.
You see the pressures on Carson Palmer. 7 hits, 6 knockdowns. He's been sacked 3 times. And Cincinnati had the lead at the half, folks. And the Jets have ratcheted up the defense. And 2 huge special teams breakdowns for Cincinnati. And now Trevor Price and the Jets making the Bengals pay on their way to loss number 9.
You know, we talked about it at the beginning, Joe. This has kind of been the storyline for both teams. The Cincinnati Bengals have played well enough to lose and find a way to lose, and the Jets have played just well enough to find a way to win.
And you'd have to say tonight the Jets on special teams got the big touchdown, also the big recovery when it Nick Caldwell's hat. You've got the offense putting it in the end zone. You've got the defense getting safeties. They're playing very well as a unit also.
Bengals with 27 plays in the second half, 43 yards. Huber with the kick. Kyle Wilson slips. The rookie has really struggled, and then Tom Nelson drops him at the 25-yard line. Tomorrow on NFL Total Access, the Green Bay Packers. Greg Jennings joins us to talk about Sunday's rout of Brett Favre and the Vikings, and how the Pack are getting ready for their showdown with the Falcons. Don't miss NFL Total Access tomorrow at 7 Eastern, only on NFL Network. Well, the Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City earlier today as we close in on the end of Thanksgiving 2010. So glad you could join us here on NFL Network for Thursday Night Football.
And a happy birthday to Bill Kempner. Our director, Artie Kempner's father, is 80 today. Happy birthday, William.
Happy birthday, William. Sean Green with a happy run of nearly 10. Call it 9.5.
You know, lost in all this tonight, you know, we never really got into the offensive line for this New York Jets. Now, we talked about the continuity and things, but there's a couple of keepers up there. The Bickersaw Ferguson, that left tackle, they took him with the #1 pick a few years ago. He has gotten bigger and stronger, maintained all of his movement. And the other tackle on the other side, Damian Woody, didn't practice at all. Didn't even know if he would play. He sucked it up, and tonight he has turned in a very good performance.
151 yards rushing for the Jets tonight. A little above their season average of 146 a game.
You still have to have questions about this Jet football team, guys. You know, Matt,
do you though?
I do have questions because Carson Palmer threw an interception in the end zone. He made a couple of bad throws which took the ball away from the Cincinnati Bengals. You've got a kick return for a touchdown. You have a situation on a punt that gives them great field position and gives them a score. I have not seen a lot from this Jet offense, and if they're going to go forward, they're going to have to get more out of their offense than at the last part of a game.
I agree with him offensively, Joe, but this team has found a way to win, and that is important. A year ago, they didn't have that trait.
Sean Green tripped up by Johnson after a run of 4. You know, the bottom line is, Joe, no matter what you think of the style points, Cincinnati's going to call a timeout. No matter what you think of the style points, they're figuring out a way to win. And after 10 games, their best start was in '86 when they went 9-1. Tonight, they're on their way to their 9th win.
I'm not thinking
it's a mindset.
It's not just style points. It's you're going to play teams that are a whole lot better than the Cincinnati Bengals. And you know, the next matchup Monday when they play the New England Patriots, that will tell me, that game right there will tell me where the Jets are. I know they've beaten them before, but that game will tell me everything I need to know about the Jets.
One thing, Joe, that's different from a year ago, they have guys who can make plays all over the field.
Yep.
I love their corners. We know that. Look at them offensively. With the addition of Santonio Holmes, that's a guy who can make a play. You love Dustin Keller inside. You got to like LaDainian Tomlinson outside. And we're not even talking about Braylon Edwards on the other side. So they have the people to make big plays.
2nd and 6. Green hit by Maluga, and he's going to lose a couple. Back at the 36-yard line as we check in with Alex Flanagan.
Hey, Bob, Joe, and Matt, I think what they also have is just a belief, the energy. You can just feel the momentum that this team has. They believe in each other. And, Joe, remember Rex Ryan pointing out to us that he believes that his team is built for December, for January. He says everything they have done have set them up for those months to get them to where they ultimately want to go. Of course, the Super Bowl, we've heard about it a number of times from Rex Ryan.
You're right, Alex, and that's why I say that game against the New England Patriots in a week will tell you an awful lot, because you're into December. You got to believe that this team's going to be in the playoffs, but how far will they go? Because right now the Patriots are playing some really good football.
They are playing well.
Yeah. And young secondary.
And it's the same recipe, though, because right now I think Brady's playing as good as any quarterback in the National Football League.
And, you know, the other thing, too, is when you look at the league in 2010, we go every couple of weeks as which one's the best. Yeah. We haven't had that normal dominance with some undefeated teams. And you know, I think the Jets, they just find ways to win. Green tripped up by Michael Johnson, who's been active.
Michael Johnson has had a heck of a game. I mean, he's been knocking the ball down at the line of scrimmage. He's been putting pressure on Sanchez. He's been running sideline to sideline to make tackles.
You know, and Marvin Lewis on that defensive series used his 2 timeouts, because you have to remember that the Bengals are still down only 2 possessions. I mean, they would need 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions. But he was trying to save as much time as possible. Maybe you get a big play and you give yourself at least a chance.
Well, what's happened here in the latter part of this quarter is the Jet defense has picked it up, particularly up front.
Weatherford just gets it away. Cosby from the 10 to the 15. 47-yard punt, 5-yard return. All right, Matt, let's talk about that Jet defense.
Well, it all starts up front, and so they give you numbers, but they give you pressure. And then here comes Calvin Pace with the pressure and the sack. And then James Ahedebo gives you pressure, and it forces a bad throw. And then Trevor Price on the inside, he gets the pressure and it forces a safety. It starts up front. They use a lot of different people. It forces you to have to identify who they are. It messes up your protections at times. It forces the entire offensive line to have to communicate and be on the same page. And in short, it causes you problems.
And that's why Carson Palmer is 13 of 35 for 135 yards. First and 10 from the 15. Palmer, Gretchen, incomplete. Palmer was under pressure again. Scott on the coverage.
You know, the one guy who could probably be polarizing but has not been, and in fact I think is a great asset, is Rex Ryan. I would love to have played for a guy like Rex Ryan. He puts it out there, he hangs it on, but he puts it squarely. He says it's on his shoulders, but the players love it because it puts the spotlight right on them. And so they go out each week and have to prove it, and I think that's a good thing.
Second and 10 for Palmer. Incomplete. You know, one of the things that Rex told us, too, about his players, he said, listen, one of the reasons why I treat these guys like I do is because I respect the way they play for me. And if I'm not out there getting hit and dinged and hurt, and they give me everything they have, the least I can do is try to take care of them and make it fun for them.
And he appreciates all the men that have played under him before, too, in Baltimore, the coaches that have taught him. I mean, his defense is somewhat simple. He uses the kill theory. Keep it likable and learnable. And, heck, there isn't a more likable guy in this business.
Third and 10 for the Bengals, down by 16. Palmer through the hands of Ocho Cinco, nearly picked off by Cromartie, incomplete. It hit the turf.
You know the other thing about Rex Ryan? He loves the game. He loves his players. I think that is important because there's times you look out in this league, Joe, I'm not so sure there's some head coaches who don't like their players, and I don't think that's a good quality.
I'm sure of it. And also, he puts people on his football team that he knows are his kind of people. I think there are coaches that are stuck with some guys. If they could economically get rid of them, they get rid of them in a heartbeat.
But you know, the better part of that is if he has a guy. Like, take, for example, Golston. He has a guy. He will figure out what he can do well, and then he applies it. That's a sign of a good coach.
And Huber shanked that punt 27 yards. Now, speaking of coaches, for 29 years, Tom Landry was the only coach the Dallas Cowboys ever had. Tomorrow, join us for a special NFL Films produced documentary about the football legend, Tom Landry, the NFL's man in the hat. That's tomorrow at 8 Eastern on NFL Network.
Bob, I was lucky enough to play for Coach Landry in a Pro Bowl.
Okay.
I mean, I played for Bill Walsh, Joe Gibbs, and Tom Landry.
Not bad.
Did he loosen up at least during the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, he was. He was really good. He was really good. It's a great experience.
Jets will start at the 42. Sean Green picks up a couple inside the 40 to the 39, gain of 3.
This is the part of a game where you love having a LaDainian Tomlinson and a Sean Green. And you've got that offensive line that are just going to line up, and the other side knows that it's over, and they're just going to pound and pound and pound.
Well, the Cincinnati Bengals should not hang their head because they played a tough game here tonight. They got beat on a couple of goofy plays.
Special teams plays.
But it's been sort of indicative of their whole season. Spence, Sean Green again, and hops forward for about a yard or two. You know, it's interesting, too, with Green. Last week, they were trying to run the game out against Houston. He had a costly fumble that sort of got Houston back in it, and some momentum Houston's way in the fourth quarter. And now Rex Ryan showing all the confidence in the world, and Sean Green saying, go run this game out for me. And LaDainian Tomlinson loves working with this young running back.
Well, he's out of Iowa, and I think Iowa does. I think Kirk Ferentz out there in that Iowa program, that's as good a program as there is in college football. You're always going to get a good, fundamentally sound, tough player out of that Iowa program.
Green again, first down inside the 30, carrying Keith Rivers, and that'll carry us to the 2-minute warning. The New York Jets closing in on their 9th win of the season, doing it in grand style on Thanksgiving night. Jets up 26-10.
Thursday Night Football is brought to you by K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K. And by Best Buy. Get the best tech gifts this holiday from Best Buy.
Rich Eisen walking and talking in the end zone to let you know what's coming up after the game. For those of you watching on NFL Network, stay tuned for the K Jewelers post-game show. We'll have all the post-game analysis and the live awarding of our Puddin' Pie Award for the best player in our Thanksgiving game. I'd be shocked if it's not Brad Smith, guys.
So would I. And you know what? Rich was even chewing gum. He was walking, talking, and chewing gum at the same time. That's how versatile.
All three of them.
Jets to the victory formation with Cincinnati out of timeouts. So with Brad Smith having one heck of a night, kickoff return for a touchdown and a 50-yard rush in the same game. It's only been done 4 times counting Smith tonight. Dominic Rhodes of the Colts in 2001, Brian Mitchell of the Eagles in 2000, and Billy White Shoes Johnson of the Houston Oilers back in 1977. 53-yard end around for Brad Smith. That gave the Jets the lead early in the third, and then in the fourth, an 89-yard kickoff return. He did 50 of it without his right shoe. And the Jets hold serve. New England won earlier today. Sets up a Monday night matchup next week, each at 9-2 in Foxborough. Some other big games. The Jaguars, first place, AFC South, in against the Giants in this building Sunday. They've lost 2 in a row. Atlanta and Green Bay in Atlanta. Kansas City and Seattle. Those are 2 first-place teams squaring off. How about Michael Vick going to Chicago to take on the Bears?
We'll see Michael Vick next Thursday.
The surprise, the Tampa Bay Bucks and Josh Freeman going to Baltimore. And the surging Chargers. They've always had a lot of success when they've gone to Indy.
Probably the best kept secret. Now, he's not a secret anymore, but Josh Freeman is flying under the radar, and he is playing absolutely fantastic.
Jets will get their 4th home win of the season, 4-2. And Sanchez takes a knee. So a couple guys who are on that Ravens staff that have a lot of respect for each other, Rex Ryan and Marvin Lewis, will extend handshakes at midfield. And the story here tonight, the Jet defense in the second half holding Cincinnati to 39 yards on 30 plays in the second half. Mark Sanchez, 16 of 28 for $166. And Darrelle Revis, well, he dealt with Ocho Cinco and Terrell Owens all night, and he limited both of those as Ocho Cinco had 4 catches for 41 and Owens 3 catches for 17. Well, for those of you watching us on the NFL Network, we'll take you down to the field for the Kay Jewelers postgame show. We'll have Mark Sanchez, Darrelle Revis, and Brad Smith live, plus highlights and analysis on today's game. All coming up on the Kay Jewelers postgame show. The final score on Thanksgiving night in New Jersey. The Jets beat the Bengals 26-10. Good night, everybody.